Hello and welcome to Hump Day Poetry. Poetry readings meant to get you through the rest of the week. Today I'll be reading Shybenyk by modern but pre-2022 Ukrainian poet Dmytro Gladun with the help of Yevhenii Ostroverkhov. Shybenyk весело гайдався на сосні на перехресті двох багнюці топлених доріг. У синім небі кружляли гави та круки, у пеклі душу чорти варили в казані. А на землі була весна. Летіли з ірією птахи, лише харцизу цього дня не пощастило на землі. Він зранку встав, нагодував коня, пістолі зарядив та й вигострив ножа. Хіба ж він знав, що саме цього дня потрапить в пекло його харцизова душа? Бо ж на землі була весна, летіли з ірією птахи, лише харцизу цього дня не пощастило на землі. Веселий промінь зайчиками грав, та й не було тремтіння у ногах. Який чудовий день! Він тихо небо проказав, коли відчув мотузку на своїх плечах. Бо ж на землі була весна, летіли з ірією птахи, лише харцизу цього дня не пощастило на землі. А на землі була весна, летіли з ірією птахи, лише харцизу цього дня не пощастило на землі. Now, this poem requires a little bit of explanation. First of all, the name of the poem, Shybenyk. The title of the poem means a varmint, a hooligan, or a type of bully to conduct rather small misendeavors. It usually refers to children and their small misendeavors from a soft parenting perspective, and can be used even as a cute nickname for one's own kid, who may not be actually engaged in any of the defined activities, similar to Sweetie or Honey, both from parents and grandparents, or a son which you can hear from like non-family members. For instance, my granddad from my father's side used to refer to me as Shybenyk in a joking manner. That being said, Shybenyk has another darker meaning. A person awaiting the gallows, particularly the one who is already standing on the platform awaiting to be hanged for real crimes they could have committed. Sometimes the word is specifically used for those who were hanged due to the fight for freedom and independence of Ukraine, from the 17th century to the 1950s. Both of these meanings are used in the context of the poem. The story begins with Shybenyk, a character of the poem, hanging from a pine tree on the crossroads of muddy roads while hooded crows and ravens were flying in circles in the dark blue sky above, and while devils were boiling a stranded soul in hell below. Yet spring was upon our world, and birds were flying from Erie, and only Hertzis was unlucky to be the only one to die on this beautiful day. Now, Erie, also Wiri or Erie, has here several meanings, and here means a fictional country somewhere in the west or south that in ancient Slavic mythology hosts both birds migrating from the winter region to a warmer climate, as well as souls of the dead. Hertzis, a word that refers to the main character in this poem as well, is also a very interesting word rooted in the medieval Ukrainian as well as Cossack history. Originally it was just another word for a bandit, a thug, a criminal. However, just as with Shybenyk, the word later became sometimes used as a characteristic of freedom-loving fighters of Ukraine, in particular during Ukrainian Cossack times. In a similar way, cowboys from a rather regular profession became a trend, a historical term, and even a myth. And the contribution to the usage of Shybenyk and Hertzis within Ukrainian history could be because Ukrainians could be referred with these names by the governments and states we were fighting against for our freedom. Now, continuing with the poem, we move forward a little bit of Shybenyk's life story, particularly on the day he dies. He tells us Shybenyk, woke up in the morning, fed his horse, loaded his pistol, old-fashioned handgun, and sharpened his knife. If only he would know that his Hertzis soul will end up in hell on this very day. Then we continue with identical repetition of how good of a day it was, and how unlucky he was to be the only one to die on it. The only difference being, instead of just adding this information as a fact, now it's being presented as rather a result or a consequence of Hertz's actions and fate. The final act of the poem tells a little bit more about this rugged nature moments before Shybenyk's hand. A beam of sunlight was playfully flashing onto his steady feet. What a beautiful day, he silently told towards the sky after feeling the rope on his shoulders. And then the repetition of how beautiful the day was and how unlucky Shybenyk was to be the only one to die. Finally, to tell a little bit about the poem's background itself, it was made in 2017, and later put it as a song by a Ukrainian group called Heartseases. So the specific time span of the event taking place can be quite large, and in terms of hand pistol, being referred to as the old-fashioned handgun, it also can be used in the modern times to refer to modern guns as part of an old tradition. So it has a direct parallel to modern Russian-Ukrainian war, including not only the initial beginning of it in 2014. The reference to the spring plays a major role here as well, since a lot of important events happened during exactly this season of the year. The annexation of Crimea in March 2014, increased fighting directly with Russian military on the Donbas region of Ukraine in the spring of 2015, and now the retreat of the Russian army from the north and northeastern territories of Ukraine in the end of March, beginning of April 2022, when, consequently, the first evidence of the Russian massacres were presented to Ukraine and the world. Example being the infamous Bucha massacre. I would like to end this poem and this explanation with such words. We did not choose the war, and we do not want to fight. However, we have no other choice, as our lives and the lives of who we love are at stake. Every single day, the war and Russian occupation of our people continues. Many Heartseases and Shybenyks are with our armed forces, but mostly those are just civilians within the enemy lines, acting in shadows and stealth to slow down the enemy and make its time occupying Ukrainian regions as miserable as possible. For that, many of them, such Heartseases, end up as true Shybenyks, facing death for their crime, that being a desire to live in a free and independent Ukraine. Thank you for your attention. I was Yevhenii Ostroverkhov. It was nice to let you know about this wonderful